What's shaking, everyone? So this is going to be a quick little primer on when, where, how, and why you should watch the vice presidential debates. I think it's fairly obvious for a few of those points, but we'll go through the housekeeping for you so you don't have to. And if you want to skip out on one of these debates, feel free to skip out on this vice presidential one because they never really cover anything important anyways. So before we do that, I just want to thank everybody for giving me the time of day here and clicking on this video. Brand new channel that we got going here, and I've been having a hell of a lot of fun covering everything in the world of news and dabbling in on sports and classic teams as well. And if you want to stick around, or if you want to suggest a topic that you would like covered in those two worlds, feel free to drop it in that comment section down below. I'm definitely open to anyone who has suggestions out there. Nothing's too obscure, nothing is too opaque for me to do a little bit of digging onto and see if I can't make something interesting out of it, because we're searching for truth over here. And if you're a like-minded individual, feel free to hang out and hit that subscribe button or just drop a like on the video, because all of that does quite a bit in order to grow this channel, and that's what we're trying to do here. So with all that out of the way, how to watch the Pence-Harris vice presidential debate on Wednesday. It is taking place at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so it'll be streamed on, everybody's going to be carrying it, but ABC is supposed to be the main feed, and it's being moderated by one Susan Page, the chief correspondent for the Washington Bureau for the USA Today. She has been around for fucking ever. The bitch is ancient. She's covered 10 presidential campaigns, so she's been around for at least 40 years, and 6 White House administrations, and she's interviewed the past 9 presidents. Outside of what she's done with USA Today and her journalist career, she's also written 2 biographies that I could find. There's not a whole lot that we need to worry about for being a confrontational moderator with Susan Page here. But the 2 books that she's read will kind of give you a little insight on who she might be a little bit more partial to in the vice presidential debate. One was on the wizened dead warhawk Barbara Bush, and the other one is on current Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. So advantage Kamala, I suppose. But yeah, Christ, of all the prominent women that have ever been through the United States government, I couldn't think of 2 less deserving individuals of committing their story to novel. But hey, that's your choice, and if you just want to have a middling career, by all means. So we don't know what the fuck these 2 are going to be talking about. There is, like it says here, what topics will Pence and Harris debate? The topics for the presidential debate have not been announced at this time. Page will choose the topics, and the debate will be separated into 9 10-minute segments. So it's basically going to follow the same format that we seen last week between Biden and Trump, and it's going to be a nice stark contrast between the entertainment value you'd get with Trump and his opponent and the stodgy establishment that you're going to be getting with Mike Pence and Kamala Harris. One is not a politician whatsoever. He just happens to be president. I know it sounds weird, but it does make sense. And the other one are just lifelong public figures who have their pre-rehearsed horseshit, and this vice presidential debate is going to be a slug, people. I'm going to watch it because it's basically my job, and hopefully distill it down to something a little bit more palatable than your standard fare, because its vice presidential debates are never anything to really go on. Going back to just watching Paul Ryan debate Joe Biden just to see how far Joe Biden's fallen in the past decade and a half was boring but necessary, and Tim Kaine and Mike Pence really just showed how much better of a debater from an old school establishment politician perspective Mike Pence is than, well, everybody else that was out there in 2016. He would absolutely smoke Hillary Clinton, and he wiped the floor with Tim Kaine, who was probably in that group of 4. You could argue he was about the second best debater, but there was a huge gap in talent between what Mike Pence could do, because he knew his talking points and he could rattle them off. He was very well rehearsed and exceptionally ready for that. And to Kamala Harris's credit, the media likes her. That's about it. Realistically, Mike Pence doesn't even have to bother showing up to this. All he'd have to do is just send in a short video of, hey, I'm sorry I can't make it today, but I've pre-recorded my debate performance, and then just put on the Tulsi Gabbard excoriation from the Democratic primaries. And realistically, that's all he needs to do if one of the topics ends up being a record. because for the past 4 years, Mike Pence has headed up the COVID task force, and everybody on both sides of the aisle thought that he's done an excellent job when it comes to that. He assembled a great panel of experts that everybody's come to know and love, like Anthony Fauci and all your other establishment types that make you feel warm and fuzzy when you see their old asses on television. Obviously, one other topic that's going to come up is President Trump being COVID positive and at Walter Reed medical facility as of recording, but I'm hearing right now that within a couple of days he could be back at the White House. I don't know, man. Maybe some of those experimental things are really kicking in, or if you listen to leftist Twitter, it's all a big conspiracy theory and Trump was never actually properly diagnosed, and this is all a big ruse to make COVID not seem so important. If you want to laugh, please go on Twitter and search Trump COVID. It's a fucking hoot and a half because these people are totally unhinged. If you can weed through all the death threats or death wishes, whatever the opposite of well wishes are, but that's definitely going to be a point that's coming up, and I hope that if Susan Page brings up Trump's health, that somebody fucking addresses Joe Biden's, you can't even call it dementia at this point, his just absolute not there'dness. I don't think that'll come up because this is on ABC and these are just two establishment hacks after all, but it's gonna be uncomfortable to watch because whenever Harris is pressed, she does that awful cackle that makes you long for Hillary Clinton. And she's a perpetual liar, Kamala Harris is. She's just a terrible person. All that Mike Pence really needs to bring up is, like I said earlier, the Tulsi Gabbard takedown, holding information that would have freed a man on death row, keeping nonviolent criminals in federal penitentiary in order to act as cheap labor in the state of California when she was attorney general. If they really wanted to feel spicy, they could talk about her blowing old Willie Brown down there in order to get her public life off on the wrong foot or right ball, whatever you want to call it. But this is going to be a very safe debate. It's probably just going to go back over violence in the streets. It's just going to be very much a repeat, just kind of a boring redo of the first presidential debate, and all we're going to see is Kamala Harris is woefully underprepared to take over at a moment's notice when, oh god, I just about said when Biden wins. I really hope that's not the case, but if Biden wins, who in their right mind thinks that he's actually going to serve as president for the full 4 years? Maybe he can prop himself up on Adderall and whatever the hell else he has going on for him to stay kind of propped up Weekend at Bernie's style for 4 years. But Harris at one point is definitely going to take over that chair if that dystopian future does come to pass, which I've been full-throated in my prediction that this is going to be a historic landslide as long as mail-in ballots aren't as corrupt as we all fear they're probably going to be. Anyways, that was, the quick primer I wanted to do on the vice presidential debate. I don't know what we can possibly expect outside of sheer boredom and stock answers. Hopefully Mike Pence just leaves Kamala Harris on her back foot because she is a shit debater who doesn't have any sort of history that is not flip-floppy, and exposes her as just a tough on crime far leftist, as paradoxical as that sounds. We'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. Kind of looking forward to it, mostly because, hey, it's always fun to roast some neocons and neo-lib far leftists, and I do it for you, the people, so you don't have to watch this horse shit. But I thank you all very much for your time, and that's a good place to end this video. I've been Don Consuelo, and I want you guys to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.